8 words. That is all it took. 8 words from the Guthrie family that stopped the entire nation cold. Words so raw, so honest, so completely human that no true crime analysis, no forensic theory, no investigative breakdown can prepare you for what it feels like to read them for the first time. We cannot grieve. We can only ache and wonder. Not we are devastated, not we are heartbroken, not we are praying. Those words would have been easier. Those words would have given us something to hold on to. But the Guthrie family did not reach for easy words. They reached for the truth. And the truth, 51 days after Nancy Guthrie was taken from her home in the dead of night, is that her family cannot grieve, because grieving would mean accepting that she is gone, and they are not ready to accept that. They cannot celebrate her life, because celebrating would mean treating her like a past tense, and she is not past tense to them. She is present, she is aching, she is wondered about, every single breath. And today, on day 51, the sheriff looked directly into a camera and said something to the person who took her, not to the press, not to the public, directly to the kidnapper. And what he said in those few quiet words may be the most significant public statement made by law enforcement in this entire investigation, because it was not a threat, it was not a demand, it was something far more powerful than either of those things. It was a plea, and pleas, in the language of hostage negotiation, are only made when investigators believe the person they are talking to is still capable of making a choice, and that means something. Tonight, that means everything. Nancy Guthrie has been missing for 51 days. She is 84 years old. She requires daily heart medication. Her pacemaker is still transmitting somewhere in the world. And today, on day 51, the story shifted from forensic analysis and investigative theory to something more fundamental and more devastating than anything we have covered in 15 previous episodes. Today is about a family. A daughter who cannot anchor her morning show because she is too busy searching for her mother. A son who cannot sleep because every time he closes his eyes he wonders where she is. Siblings who hold each other in the dark and say the words that nobody should ever have to say. We cannot grieve. We can only ache and wonder. Today, we set aside the DNA and the doorman theory and the weekend pattern and the tattoo, not because they do not matter, but because today, more than any other day in this investigation, what matters most is Nancy. Not the case. Nancy, the woman, the mother, the great-grandmother who went to her daughter's house for dinner on a Saturday evening and never came home. First question for you right now. When you read those 8 words, we cannot grieve, we can only ache and wonder, what did you feel? Drop your answer in the comments, because today, that answer matters more than any theory. March 23, 2026, Day 51, Tucson, Arizona, and New York City. Here is everything that happened today, and what every single detail means. Development 1, the family's most heartbreaking statement. The Guthrie family released a new public statement today that is unlike anything they have said in 51 days of searching. Not a press release, not a carefully crafted media message, a statement of pure human truth. They wrote, "We miss our mom with every breath, and we cannot be in peace until she is home. We cannot grieve, we can only ache and wonder. We want to celebrate her beautiful and courageous life, but we cannot do that until she is brought to a final place of rest." And then they said something that should be the message every single person watching this video carries with them today. We are all family now. The Tucson community, the true crime community, the millions of people across America who have followed this case for 51 days. The family is not asking for sympathy. They are not asking for pity. They are asking for partnership. They are saying, join us, keep looking, keep asking, keep sharing, because Nancy deserves for every single one of us to treat her like family until she comes home. Development 2, Savannah's most urgent plea yet. Savannah Guthrie posted a new statement on social media that is the most specific and most urgent request the family has made since the investigation began. She wrote, We desperately ask this community for renewed attention to our mom's case. Please consult camera footage, journal notes, text messages, observations, or conversations that in retrospect may hold significance. No detail is too small. It may be the key. And then she said the sentence that the FBI, the sheriff, and every investigator covering this case believes with absolute certainty. Someone knows how to find our mom and bring her home. Someone knows. Not someone might know, not someone possibly has information. Someone knows. And Savannah is talking directly to that person, or to someone who knows that person right now, today, through every screen that carries her words. Development 3. The sheriff speaks directly to the kidnapper. Sheriff Chris Nanos did something today that law enforcement officials rarely do publicly. He spoke directly to the person responsible for Nancy's disappearance, on camera, in plain language, with no legal framework and no investigative posturing. He said simply, "Just give her up. Let her go. Just take her to a clinic, a hospital. Drop her off. Just let her go." 4 sentences. 23 words, and in the world of hostage negotiation, those 23 words carry an extraordinary amount of meaning, because a sheriff who believes a victim is already dead does not make this kind of plea. A sheriff who has given up hope does not ask the kidnapper to drop her at a hospital. This plea, public, direct, personal, is the language of someone who still believes Nancy Guthrie is alive, and Sheriff Nanos has been careful with every single word he has said publicly for 51 days. He chose these words deliberately, and I believe he chose them because he had a reason to. Development 4. Savannah returns to the Today Show studio. For the first time since her mother's disappearance, Savannah Guthrie visited 30 Rockefeller Plaza in New York City, the home of the Today Show, where she has co-anchored for years. She did not go on air. She went to thank her colleagues, to embrace her former co-host Hoda Kotb, who has been holding down the desk in her absence, to stand in the building that represents everything she has built over decades of broadcasting, and to do it while carrying the weight of what has happened to her family. The image of Savannah Guthrie walking into Studio 1A, not to anchor, not to perform, but simply to be present with the people who love her, is one of the most quietly devastating moments of this entire case, because it is a reminder that behind every headline and every investigative update is a real woman who woke up this morning and made a choice to keep standing, even when standing is the hardest thing she has ever done. Development 5. The investigation becomes harder. Retired FBI Supervisory Special Agent Lance Leasing gave the most honest assessment of the investigation's current state that any former law enforcement official has offered publicly. He told CBS News plainly, "The lack of new leads points to a situation where it becomes much harder to keep the investigation going, keep it current, and fight for new leads." This is not a criticism of the investigators. This is the reality of any case that crosses the 50-day mark without an arrest. Tips slow down. Public attention begins to fragment. The media cycle moves on to the next story. And the people who know something, who have been sitting with that knowledge for 51 days, begin to feel safer in their silence. This is the moment when the $1.2 million reward matters most. This is the moment when every share of this video matters most. This is the moment when Savannah's plea, "No detail is too small," matters most. Because the detail that breaks this case may already exist in someone's memory, in someone's camera footage, in someone's text message history, and the only thing standing between that detail and the FBI is the decision to come forward. Now, here is what I need to say directly, and I want every single person watching this video to hear it clearly. The Guthrie family said today that we are all family now, and I believe that. I've spent 15 episodes and 51 days covering every angle of this case, the forensics, the theories, the evidence, the politics, and today I want to set all of that aside for one moment and say something that has nothing to do with investigation and everything to do with humanity. Nancy Guthrie is somebody's mother. She is somebody's grandmother. She is somebody's great-grandmother. She spent 84 years on this earth going to church, having family dinners, walking her neighborhood, and loving the people around her. She did not deserve what happened to her. Her family does not deserve the ache and wonder that they are living with every single day. And whoever is sitting somewhere right now, knowing what they know, they need to understand something. The $1.2 million reward is real. The FBI's forensic genealogy is real. The pacemaker signal is real. The DNA is real. The investigation is real. And the reckoning that is coming is real. It is not a matter of if, it is a matter of when. And the only choice that remains, the only choice that has ever remained, is whether that reckoning comes before Nancy Guthrie comes home. Second question. Sheriff Nanos spoke directly to the kidnapper today and asked them to just let her go, drop her at a hospital. Do you think the kidnapper heard those words, and do you think they are capable of making that choice? Drop your answer in the comments. The public response to today's family statement has been the most unified and emotionally overwhelming reaction of the entire investigation. Across every platform, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook,